Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining to the first virtual episode of the What's the Snaps podcast. We are here today, my face, Mike Fink, along with Michael Sussman.
How's it going, man?
It's going good. Apparently, you're better at grammar than me because you can see my name is all lowercase and yours is actually typed out like a regular human being
All
with
the
capital
time.
letters. But
English, baby.
Today, before we start the podcast, we want to start with a quick moment of silence for those who not only lost their lives on 9/11, but for those who were there at Ground Zero, the Pentagon, and the World Trade Center, that were there doing the best they can, fighting nonstop to find all of the survivors. So we will be having a moment of silence before we get this podcast started. Thank you all. Thank you all. And as we said, welcome to What's the Snaps. Sus, we've got some great stuff happening in the sports community. College football is back.
I can't wait.
It's back. Did you watch the first couple of games last weekend? It was Navy, Army. We had the two premier military academies. And then we had Marshall, our West Virginia younger brother. Marshall whooped on EKU. Did you watch the game?
I didn't catch the actual game, but I saw the highlights from quarterback Grant Wells, who actually was a high school baseball teammate of mine. He played shortstop, heck of an athlete. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that he's having success and that he looked that good. But the fact that he was throwing dimes the way that he was throwing dimes in his first game, did you see that?
It was incredible. I mean, I'm a Mountaineer through and through, but I was bleeding green last Saturday for Marshall because you always want any team in West Virginia to succeed, whether it's Marshall, the Mountaineers, the Bobcats, anybody out there, you want them to do well for the state of West Virginia.
It was cool. It was cool. Marshall is definitely a little brother, but just to come out first game, it's wild. Like Grant was a freshman when I was a senior. This is just how good of an athlete he was. Came in as a freshman, was the starting shortstop the first day of practice.
Good.
And it really wasn't that debatable of a situation. It's just what he does. He's just an athletic kid. That's all I can say. He's got a good head on his shoulders. So, but can Jarrett Dagey outduel him this week?
I think Dagey can do it. I think he's going to teach him how to Dagey. What's crazy is after the first game, he's the front runner for the Heisman.
It's hard to argue.
Yeah, you can't pick anybody else but him. And he was the first West Virginia born quarterback to start a game for Marshall in 20-some years?
I didn't see that.
It was ridiculous. It was one of those random stats that people talk about because there wasn't much going on in the game because they were up a million to zero.
You know what was interesting though, and this is again that G-Dub situation, my high school, Charleston, West Virginia. The day that Grant's career was born and he went off, another GW star's career kind of went to crap because Ryan Switzer got cut from the Steelers. Did you see that?
Oh, I did not see that.
The same day G-Dub star's career was born. On the same day. I don't want to say Switz's career died, but took a tough hit. So,
and he hopes he gets signed anywhere else. I know he put in some quality plays for the Steelers last year. I'm not a huge Steelers guy. As we know, I bleed Washington football team.
I hope so. I don't know. He hasn't made a play in a while. He hasn't really screwed up in a long time. But when he first came into the league, he took a couple punt returns back to the house. He's kind of a special team specialist kind of guy, and he really hasn't broken off an explosive one in at least like 2 years. So I'm hopeful that he'll find a job. He's known as a very hardworking guy, the type of guy you always see in the weight room. He pretty much lived in there in high school, probably set up a tent and stayed overnight. I don't know. So he probably will land on his feet in at least a practice squad. But tough break for Switz. Hopefully he makes it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Was he there at GW with you the same time, or was he a lot older than you were?
He, my freshman year was his senior year, so I got to witness it, but I didn't know him.
I feel that. But again, with college football, the two premier military academies played, and the score of those games were very high. Also, Army came away with the win over Middle Tennessee, and Navy got the absolute snot kicked out of them by the Mormons over there in BYU. I don't know what they're putting in the water over there at BYU, but the Naval Academy just could not stop them and could not get anything going.
You see such weird matchups early on in the season just because of who has a schedule and who doesn't. Like the fact that Marshall and WVU are both playing Eastern Kentucky. Central Arkansas has been on all the time because they're just a team that's playing. It's just
Big Ten. No Big Ten or Pac-12. We got to figure out somebody else to play.
It's so weird. It's a weird season. I'm glad we have it though. I'll take it.
Oh, I am too. I would watch Maryland School for the Blind play Maryland School for the Deaf in football any day than not have football. But we were talking about Marshall EKU. After we saw Marshall put up, I think it was close to 60, like 59 points. They had a 50 burger. How much do we think WVU scores on EKU now?
Okay. It's tough because we're still early in the climb. You gotta take that into consideration. Last year, you're working in a new offense. The offensive line is still young, and they've had no chance to develop for Neil Brown, really, because there was no spring ball. They didn't get the strength and conditioning that they would normally get at WVU. So without the offseason, it's I don't know if they're going to be hitting the ground running, whereas I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into it, but Grant Wells came out and absolutely went off in his first game. They have to go off. They got to score 60.
If they don't put up at least 45, all the Marshall fanboys are going to come out of the woodworks and just assume that they're better than WVU.
They've never failed. It'll happen.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
If we don't beat them by at least 45, if we beat them by more than 45, we can say, you know what, our second team just couldn't get it done like yours could, you know. But I realistically think that we can put up a 50 piece on EKU. I think we can do it. I think our defense can our pass rush. Yeah. The Stills brothers. I mean, Marshall was getting there to EKU and making it look easy, and I think the Stills brothers are better than anybody that Marshall's got by far. So I think it's going to be a defensive showcase for the Mountaineers on Saturday at noon. It's a noon kickoff too. What's better than a noon kickoff?
Hey, wake up, watch football.
Exactly. The only thing that sucks is the other team I watch, the Syracuse Orangemen. They're also playing at noon. So we're going to get 2 TVs out here in the Fink House to watch Syracuse and the Mountaineers. But the Mountaineers will be on the big one. I can guarantee it.
You guys Cuse people?
We are. My stepdad, John, he's from New York. Big Cuse fan. I'm more Cuse basketball than football. Donovan McNabb was great. He was a little old for us. But I hated him because he played for the Eagles. And the Washington football team got stomped by the Eagles a bunch of times. But we can transition a little bit if we want. Speaking about the Washington football team, the NFL's back.
Yes, sir, it is.
What a great way to start it. Today's Friday. Yesterday, with the Chiefs and the Texans, the two highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL now. We got Patty Mahomes. Deshaun Watson just signed that deal, and they signed him to that deal after they cut arguably the best receiver in football, DeAndre Hopkins. He went to go play over there with that young buck, Kyler Murray in Arizona. Did you catch the game?
I caught some of the game last night. It looks like the Chiefs are just picking up right where they left off.
Not fair.
It took them a little bit to get going, but dude, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the real deal.
He is, and it's insane that the best offense in the NFL can get better.
Yeah, it really is.
They can get better by picking the best running back in the draft with the last pick in the draft. It's incredible to me how devalued the running back position has become. And I personally blame the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick because he can find a running back off the street and have them go out there and receive for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Is it just the perception, though, that he gets these guys off the street? Or do you think he just gets hardworking guys that are going to watch film and listen? Because that's universal. I don't think Bill Belichick really sees it as interchangeable. I think he just goes – I don't think that he puts the premium on the position that other teams do from a financial commitment. But at the same time, I don't know if he doesn't necessarily value the position, though.
I think he's just got some evil lab like I'm sitting in. He and I are both cooking in the lab when we're figuring stuff out, because his first round pick was it some D2 guy or a JUCO guy that played D end that's apparently a stud and has been shoving right now in training camp. But I think he's got some magic wand, or maybe he's got the 2028 or the 2050 sports almanac like Biff Back to the Future, and he's just looking up stats and figuring out who to pick up. Yeah, that's our conspiracy theory for the day. Bill Belichick is actually Biff from Back to the Future, who stole Doc's time machine.
I could see it. I guess it kind of looks like the end of the movie when it's like Biff after they went back to the future and he's older and he's I mean the old he kind of does look like old Biff a little bit. I don't know, kind of. Okay,
he does.
Okay,
we'll put a poll up on Twitter if you see it. Do you think Bill Belichick looks like old Biff? I don't know who the actor is, or I'd shout him out. But I think the Chiefs are going to be borderline unstoppable this year. If any team can go undefeated, it's them. I think they've got the best chance. A lot of people are saying the Ravens can, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a problem.
The AFC is loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded.
If you're not picking an AFC team to win the Super Bowl, you're just wrong.
Well, I mean, you got the Bucs, you got Tampa.
You got the Bucks, but I mean, they're not my NFC pick. As you know, my NFC pick will always be the Seattle Seahawks with Russell Danger Wilson. Did you see that clip he posted about a month ago where Danger is his new alter ego? That's like his prime time.
It kind of sounds incredibly douchey, but no, I did not see that.
You didn't miss much. It's weird. The video actually, it's like one of those videos that you have to watch because you're cringing so much.
Right.
Because he's sitting there and he's talking, and the camera is so close to his face. It's kind of like when OJ makes a video on Twitter. If you're not following OJ, you need to. You're missing out. But he's just talking about how everybody's got these alter egos for when they step on the field, and what's mine going to be? Mine's Danger.
Yeah, no, I don't think I want to see that.
No, you don't. You don't. I think he was Colin Cowherd's golden boy. I think he lost a couple ticks in Uncle Colin's book.
Uncle Colin? Is that what you call him?
Yeah, he's Uncle Colin because he's always so grumpy, like that angry uncle that hasn't had any booze at the family party and his hands keep shaking because he's angry.
He gets on my nerves. He always tries to explain the simplest concepts in a way that tries to make himself sound like a genius, and it's just patronizing to the listener. I don't enjoy his stuff.
If you don't enjoy Colin Cowherd and you want parody of Colin Cowherd, you need to follow Joey Molinaro on Twitter. He works for Barstool, and he does the best Colin Cowherd impersonation ever. And he followed on Instagram, Twitter. That's how he actually got. He was a Barstool intern, and then he got rehired by Barstool as a personality. And he does great impressions. He does a really good Andrew Luck one too. And you and him would get along. He's a big Indiana guy, and he's a Steelers fan. I don't know how much of a Colts fan he is, but big Pacers guy. But yeah, Colin is he's backwards hat guys. Baker Mayfield. He's always hating on everybody, unless you're the stereotypical Joe Montana quarterback.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson, he's kind of got that Tebow effect. Do you ever wonder if he's kind of fake, or do you think he's just that genuinely of a good guy? Do you think he's that genuine of a good guy?
I haven't seen anything to make it seem like he's anywhere remotely fake. I mean, he used to do those, what was it, Blue Tuesdays, where he goes to the Children's Hospital every Tuesday and volunteers since he was a rookie.
It's hard to be cynical about that.
Exactly. And now arguably he's the best quarterback in the NFL and an already Hall of Famer. He's led his team he was the only quarterback in NFL history to lead his team to 8 winning seasons in their first 8 seasons. Dude's just a stud. And I think he's just a great guy on and off the field. I think a bunch of people could learn from Russell Wilson. He's one of my favorite athletes. And I think it's going to be hard to beat them in the NFC, especially because they got Jamal Adams in that trade. That was big.
The whole league is kind of loaded. Really. It's crazy. You got the Niners in that same division.
That division is
the
dumb.
Cardinals just got good. I don't care what anybody says. They're going to be good this year. They have a top 2 receiver in the league, in my opinion. By the way, I have the top 2 receiver in the NFL on my fantasy team, just saying.
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
We'll get to fantasy football later. We'll talk about it. Talk about it.
I'm just excited. But yeah, dude, what are some games this week that you're looking forward to seeing?
Games this week? Oh, man, you put me on the spot. I got to pull them up. I mean, obviously, I'm going to watch the Washington football team in their first game as the Washington football team to get blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. And let me see. We got NFL week 1. I mean, that game was pretty good. Colts Jags for Phillip Rivers and my man Gardner Minshew. He's one of my favorite people to ever exist in the history of sports. His response to the coronavirus was, "It took one look at me and ran away." Obviously, Packers Vikings.
Oh, yeah,
always a great game.
That's a big one. Who you got in that one?
In that one, I got to take the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a better team than the Packers this year.
You've been high on the Vikings this year.
I have. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Dalvin Cook also. I know they lost Stephon Diggs, but they did get the stud LSU Justin Jefferson, who I think got undervalued in the draft. He slipped a little bit, and they were able to get him. And I like the Vikings. I like their defense. I like what they're about. The purple people eaters. I'm about it. What about you?
That's a good one. Very emotional, dramatic offseason, I guess, kind of for Green Bay, at least on the surface with the whole Jordan Love pick. I expect Aaron Rodgers to come out strong this year, though. I think he's going to have a good year. They've had another year with LaFleur. I like the Packers. I think they get it going. I think they're all business. Their championship window is closing, so I think the wheels might start to fall off next year.
Yeah.
But they have a really good defense. They have Zadarius Smith on the other side. There's two Smith brothers up front. They're not actually brothers. They're just both named Smith. They're good
Like
on defense.
40% of the rest of the United States all has the last name Smith.
Exactly. Aaron Rodgers is going to go to work. Aaron Jones had a great season last year. But that'll be a close game. That'll probably be a stingy, 21-24 kind of battle, I would think.
I hope so. But speaking of the Packers, I got to bring it up. Jordan Love is the third string quarterback. You trade up, draft him in the first round. He is slated to be your third string / emergency quarterback, I think. What in the world?
Okay, there's a few things that go through my head. Who's the backup, first off?
He's some dude by the name of, pull it up. He's some dude I've never heard of before. It is Tim Boyle.
Wow. He's behind Tim Boyle right now.
Yeah, Tim Boyle has he is a 1-year quarterback. He played for the Packers last year. He was their backup.
So if Rodgers goes down, they're like, we're going with Boyle.
Timmy B, yeah.
For their first round draft pick.
Yep, see, it wouldn't bother me if you got a quarterback late in the first round and you're like, we like this dude, but you traded up to get him.
There were so many good weapons, too, at that point on the board. Yes. So many. What was wrong with T. Higgins? What was wrong with Michael Pittman?
Justin Jefferson hadn't gone
with Jonathan Taylor. Justin Jefferson is a great player.
Because they already have a good running back. They've got Aaron Jones, and I understand they still have Devontae Adams out there at receiver, but you can never have too many weapons. Like, take a look at the Colts. They already had T.Y. Hilton. Who'd they go out and get? Jonathan Taylor. A great running back who can catch out of the backfield.
Because Chris Ballard is competent and made good decisions.
Yes. I'm a big fan of the Colts going forward.
Oh, I love what they're doing. They make win right now decisions, and that's why I like the Colts. But the Love Boyle situation, do you think it's more like, okay, this kid is not ready to go in a game this year. We're not playing him no matter what. Third on the depth chart. If we got to bring in Boyle, we're bringing in Boyle. Or do you
don't want to crush the kid's confidence?
Or do you think they got a week or two into training camp and we're like, oh my goodness, we screwed up. No scenario where we would ever want to put this kid in the game.
I really want it to be the first one, but I hope it's the second one just for the Packers franchise.
Like, you think Boyle straight out beat him out for the job?
I really hope so. I really hope Boyle just straight out beat him out for the job. And he got chip on his shoulder. You know, they brought in some young rookie, young being a year younger than him, but brought in some young rookie to take my spot, and I'm going to show out, and now he's the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
So, hey, if Aaron Rodgers goes down this week, look for old Timmy Boyle to
pick him up in fantasy. You're going to want to have him. He's a guaranteed interception touchdown a game guy. Everybody's going to want him on their squad. But now with the coronavirus NFL, I think I have my new favorite position in all of sports. Before this, my favorite position, if I could be any position in sports, be a bullpen catcher.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because you still work out with the team, you travel with the team, but there's really no responsibility besides catching bullpens and making sure your pitcher's feeling it.
It's just, and you're in the outfield too. You're not even anywhere close to the action.
You just wear shin guards.
You're spitting seeds, chewing gum, catching balls.
Exactly, and nobody knows who you are. It's not like the long snapper where even if you mess up, people are going to remember your name forever. But my new favorite position in all of sports is the emergency quarterback. Josh McCown was signed by somebody and is being paid $12,000 a week to quarantine in Texas.
Oh my goodness.
In case, I can't remember what team he signed with, in case their quarterbacks either get hurt or get corona. It's just the best thing.
He's just getting a check to just maybe play, but probably not.
Do you think you could survive off $12,000 a week in quarantine?
Yes. Especially if I just had an NFL career prior. He's already rich from bouncing. Like, he's been an emergency quarterback for a long time, kind of. Mm-hmm. He's had to play a lot, but he's been on a lot of teams where the original plan was not to start Josh McCown. And now he just doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, he's 41 years old and is just like, I'll sit in Texas and make money. And he video chats in for all of the meetings. He video chats in for quarterback meetings. He'll do his workout in his own facility that he has.
That's pretty amazing.
It's the new greatest job in all of sports. So he's behind Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts as the emergency quarterback.
That is amazing. He's the emergency quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
But he doesn't have to quarantine anywhere near the team. He just can do his own thing in case they need him.
Mm-hmm. Because he's technically on the practice squad.
Okay, but doesn't actually have to show up, though.
Exactly, because they don't want him near anybody. So if the team gets a little bit of COVID, they can have him as an emergency quarterback to come in. He hasn't been with any of the team or staff. So I hope this position stays going forward, just for all of time. Like hockey has emergency goalies, and it's a dude that comes to the game, sits in a box in case some goalie's throat gets cut with a skate, like used to happen in the old days, which is awesome. Not awesome because I bet that hurts, but it's just super cool that can happen in hockey. I think every sport should have an emergency something. Like the Lakers have an emergency point guard. That he's just like some 6'3" dude that is a math teacher in LA, but he's got bounce.
So Braun, Caruso, and Rondo all go down. Yep. I gotcha.
We bring in Jeff Smith, middle school teacher at Los Angeles Middle School, who can just come in and drop buckets.
It's an interesting concept. No, I'm a little bit jealous of Josh McCown. And who cares if he plays bad? He still gets the check. He doesn't have to stay in shape.
Yeah. I mean,
if he wants to.
Josh McCown's a professional. He's a professional. He's 41 years old. He's done this for too long.
He can He can go in and be average to below average if you need him to be.
Exactly. That's the best part about being a backup quarterback.
Emergency.
If you come in, emergency quarterback. See, if you're a backup quarterback, you're expected to come in and be average.
Right.
What's the expectation for an emergency quarterback now?
He's in
Are you sitting there and you're like, we kind of just want him to have a pulse?
More or less. He's in Texas.
It's like he's basically a scat player.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Strike.
What else we got on the schedule?
What else we got? We have the night game. Not too excited about the night game. Let me pull it back up. I was looking at Josh McCown.
Yes, Cowboys.
You guessed correct.
Always.
The Cowboys.
They're average. They're not very good. Come on.
They're not very good, but I got to bring it up because we're talking about the Cowboys. Fire Skip Bayless, bro.
I mean, I think everybody has thought that for a very long time, but people can continue to watch.
Did you hear what he said recently?
No. What did he say?
Dak Prescott released to the world that his father passed away recently, and quarantine kind of hit him hard, and he got a spout of depression. Which shout out to Dak. Takes a real man to admit that.
Definitely.
And Skip Bayless essentially calls him soft.
He's a joke.
I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Watch the interview if you want to get the full spiel. But he said, you're playing the most important position on the most important team in the nation, and you need to be a leader.
This football, that is what pales in comparison to the importance of his family life. That's ridiculous.
Fire Skip Bayless. Get him out of here.
We're really going in on Fox Sports today, but I kind of think that they deserve it. The extent to which they speculate on things that they have no idea about and just cross boundaries, personal boundaries, every time I turn on one of their shows is ridiculous. Skip's the worst one about it, and he definitely crossed a line.
And then I'm not even going to bring up the whole Odell situation because I don't think that's fit for TV or our content. It's just a real crappy situation. And apparently, because it wasn't true and everybody kept talking about it, Dion came out and said some stuff on his Instagram. Newest member of Barstool Sports. Shout out Dion. But anyway, back to the Cowboys and Rams. They're overrated. They're not going to be a great team. Super Bowl aspirations. Dak shouldn't be number 4 for MVP. That's ridiculous.
Just gets on my nerves. I feel like at a certain point in time, if we don't say no, the Cowboys aren't going to be very good. They're probably going to be average. Then we're just making the same mistake over and over again. I've heard this every single year of my entire life with this team, and it's because they're worth the most of any NFL franchise in the league. And of course, they have the prime time game because they have the prime time game against a team that was also average last year.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just the world we live in. It's football. I'll probably watch it.
Oh, I'm going to watch it.
I get tired of the Cowboys. I do.
I do too, especially as a Washington football team fan. It drives me crazy that the Cowboys are everywhere.
What's their record when Mike McCarthy starts to get put on the hot seat this year?
Ooh, see, well, the Cowboys have a really hard schedule. I'm going to pull it up here in a second because
that talk
is. Go ahead, Sess.
That talk usually dominates the second half of the season. The fire the Cowboys coach talk.
Exactly.
It doesn't usually happen. It usually happens about 4 years after that. But I'm just wondering, At what point in the year do you think it starts to turn?
All right, so their first games are LA, good team, Atlanta, good team, Seattle, great team, Cleveland, one of the most talented rosters in football. If they can get their act together, they're going to be great.
Totally.
New York, gimme. Arizona, great offense, great young team. Washington.
Probably that's probably
a win.
They don't even have a team name.
Yeah. Then Philly, then Pittsburgh. And that's what just came up real quick. And that's not a lot of easy wins right there. That's maybe two easy wins.
Just football team in New York, that's pretty much it. That's hard.
Exactly. And Dak is not great against above 500 teams. So I think their record coming out of the gate, I think they beat the Rams, lose to Atlanta, lose to Seattle, lose to Cleveland. And then after that 3-game lose streak, people are going to start coming for McCarthy because they're going to start the season 1-3.
I could see that.
Yeah, because I think Cleveland's going to come out hot. I think Cleveland is going to be an underdog team in that AFC, that loaded division. Because if Joe Burrow can get his act together with the Bengals, they're going to be fun to watch too.
Is the Browns head coach, this Stefanski guy, do you know if he's a real coach?
I have no idea.
That was a problem last year.
Yeah, they got a coach that isn't a coach.
Yeah,
they got a coach that turned out to be a couch. It's just a typo. I think he can do the job. I mean, he's more of an offensive guy, isn't he? I don't know anything about the Browns.
The Browns. Yeah.
I don't know nothing about the Browns, except Baker's doing more commercials.
No, he's not.
He had a commercial last night. I was crying. He's in his robe with the newspaper, and he goes, "It's gonna rain. We gotta cover all the furniture." And he's talking to the dude cutting the grass. He goes, "I'll start at the top. You start at the bottom." And he starts grabbing seat covers and putting them over each individual seat in the stadium.
Was last year not a lesson? I mean, I guess from his perspective, you can't really talk trash. He's cashing in, but you got to earn that. That's my problem with today's society. You don't have to.
He's a Heisman Trophy winner.
Anything. True, but now he's an NFL
still in the Heisman house.
So that's fine. He can be in the Heisman house commercials.
Which those are the greatest commercials.
Nissan can cash in. That's fine. But him just dominating Sunday gets on my nerves. Like, why do you see him more than you see like Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or people that are actually winning that are good?
See, now you're sounding like Colin Cowherd.
Was this what Colin Cowherd was saying?
You've turned into you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Do you want to see Baker Mayfield dominate your Sunday on television? Do you think he's earned that in the NFL?
I think they're hilarious.
Fair enough.
When he's walking around trying to find the fire alarm, and he's walking through the whole stadium, they're funny. I don't care.
It's funny, but why isn't it like Mahomes at Arrowhead or Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau?
Mahomes has Head and Shoulders commercials. Aaron Rodgers was dominating TV with the discount double check.
Pat, but before though, those guys are still relevant in the league. Why is Baker the guy now?
Because Baker's relevant in the league now, and he's the dude they're trying to profit from. You know how much money Aaron Rodgers made from the discount double check, and how much Pat Mahomes is making from Head and Shoulders, like Troy Polamalu used to.
Right. I mean, for sure. I mean, what is the one that Baker has that plays all day for every game? Is it Aflac?
Oh yeah, it's Aflac, I think.
Do you think that they think they went the wrong route? Or do you think they wish that maybe they went Kyler Murray?
I think a lot of people are wishing they did that. Yeah. But you can get money with Baker because a lot of people, average NFL fans, know Baker because of how much people talk about Baker.
Over under number of wins for the Browns this year, 9.
Under.
Easy
under 9.
Why are you gassing up Baker so much then?
Because he's a great character. But you're talking about 9 wins. 8 of those games, they have to play Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore is going to be tough.
Yeah, they're the two of the best teams in the AFC. Pittsburgh's defense is a top 5 defense, and the Ravens are a top 3 team in general.
See who all they play this week.
Who, the Browns?
Yeah.
The Brownies are playing. Pull it up. They're playing the Ravens. Starting off hot.
That's going to be a tough test out of the gate.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. Especially because the Ravens got better on offense too, because they drafted what running back? J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Speaking of draft, it is time for us to go. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We were going to talk about our fantasy football teams for the official What's the Snaps Fantasy Football League. We're in a 12-man league.
Sir.
And Suss was saying he's got two of the best receivers in the NFL on his squad.
The two best receivers.
The two best. What about Julio? You don't got Julio.
Julio's top 3. I got the best 2.
Okay. Well, we'll talk your team in a second. My team, when I was naming my team, took a lot of thought. But I thought to myself, WWWFTD. What would the Washington football team do? So I named my team the Finks football team because if they don't have a name, I don't have a name. But,
I like it.
Yeah, I got Josh Allen, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Jonathan Taylor, Zeke, Jack Doyle, Zach Ertz, Jarvis Landry, and then a bunch of other. And the key on my team is Gardner Minshew. You got to have a good backup quarterback.
True.
In fantasy. And I think Gardner Minshew, the Jags successfully cannot tank with him as their quarterback. It's kind of like when the Dolphins had Fitzmagic. You just can't tank with guys like that. Because they just want to win too bad. Yeah.
It's not
You got
bad.
your team pulled up?
It's not as good as my team, though.
All right, let's hear it from the Susketeers.
The Susketeers. This year at quarterback, we got Deshaun Watson, who didn't do quite what he's capable of last night, but not terrible. He put up 21.8 for me. That's serviceable. That gives me a chance. Then at receiver, I have the 2 best wide receivers in the NFL in Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. I bet they both drop a 30 piece this week.
Still don't know how you got both of them. Still don't know.
Dude. I think it's that number 6 pick in the snake draft. I think that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
That way you pretty much get 2 first-rounders.
He was 6, I was 3. That's how I was able to get Zeke.
And then my running backs, I'm not sure about. I'm confident that they're going to get carries, but neither had an outstanding year last year. I got James Conner and Lev Bell. It's not terrible. They'll get the rock, but especially Le'Veon Bell, I don't know about.
Always question marks with that, man. But you went with a Steeler and a former Steeler. So the Pittsburgh trend, I see.
Yeah, a lot of Pittsburgh. Then I got Evan Ingram, tight end. He had a decent season last year. And then I got T.Y. in the flex. I think a lot of that depends on Phillip Rivers and how he comes out.
You stole him right from me.
Yeah,
I was 3 picks after you, and I wanted him so bad.
I think he's a somewhat reliable flex. Like, I don't know. Again, this Colts offense, kind of an unknown. It could come out great. It could be a complete dumpster fire. But he's a guy that performs pretty consistently when he's healthy. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that's just as much of a concern with him. I hopefully he can stay on the field. And then, you got to give the kickers some love. Will Lutz, he's definitely a seasoned vet, reliable kicker. And then, hey, I got your Bills trend on D. I got the Buffalo Bills. And
the Bills are going to be scary.
They're playing the Jets this week, so I feel pretty good about them.
Guaranteed at least 8 points coming from the Bills defense.
Oh, at least.
I didn't say my defense and kicker, so I didn't give them any love. I'll shout them out real quick. I got Dustin Hopkins for the Washington football team. Nice. He's one of the few bright spots. Our 3 MVPs are snapper, punter, kicker, because they're on the field more than anybody else with how we play. And then my defense is I've got the Los Angeles Rams. Jalen Ramsey just signed that new deal. Wish he wouldn't have because then he'd be playing for a contract, but that's okay.
Are you playing him against
stud? Huh?
You playing him against the Cowboys?
I only picked up 1 defense, so I'm not going to carry 2.
I mean, you can stream.
Yeah. I think they can get it done. I just need Zeke to have a bunch of carries for about a tutter or 2, and they can just knock Dak down all they want.
All right, fair enough.
But our league's pretty good. As we said, the winner of this league will be featured on an episode of What's the Snaps, whether that be virtual, as we are doing now, or how we've been normally presenting the podcast. Let us know which one you like better, whether you like this virtual, where you can actually see Sus and I's mediocre-looking faces, or if you like not being able to see us because your screen broke because we were on there. We're still trying to figure out a punishment for the loser. I think the loser should have to go on Instagram Live and count to 5,000.
That's it?
Yeah, because it would take a long time. Either that or they have to take a video and publish it on all of their social medias as a press conference of a coach who just got fired.
That could be pretty funny.
They have to read a script that we read or that we write.
Mm.
So I think that would be another good one too. We're still going to try to finalize that.
I liked back when I used to get 6-0'd in FIFA, how I would have to call people's parents and apologize.
That is a great rule.
We can incorporate that in. Like, sorry, I got last.
Did you have to call my mom at any point because I beat you in FIFA that bad?
Yeah, I think you were one of the first ones.
Okay, yeah. FIFA used to be my game. I was a stud. I'm old, retired now. Um, but we'll figure something out. It just depends on if I get fired as commissioner or not, because there is tons of slander being said. We actually have a team name, and it's Fire Mike Fink.
Yeah, it's a
Shout out
movement.
Dakota Bowl. Yeah, it is. I'm basically the Roger Goodell of fantasy football commissioners for no other reason than I didn't realize we needed to have an even number in the league. So shout out Breyer for joining late to make 12, and we could actually do the draft. But I think it's going to be a good year for the What's the Snaps League. Hopefully, we can continue this in the future, and we'll give you guys a little preview every week for what games are going on. Who are you playing this week, Sus?
I believe I have Jacob Jasper this week.
You have the old head Jacob Jasper.
Is he the only Jacob in our league?
We also have Jake Folland.
Who's Jacob's boss team? Whoever that is, who I'm playing.
I believe that would be. I think that's Jasper.
Hey, you going down, old man?
Yeah, I have. Sus was my roommate my junior year. I have my freshman roommate, other Jake, aka Sunshine. I have him, and he's up on me, 19.80-0 because he had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the dude who just
start.
Yeah, I don't know how he fell. He fell in our draft because he was a rookie, and Jake actually was on auto draft, so his auto draft team isn't too bad for being auto drafted.
Figures.
Yeah. Usually the one person who doesn't show up to the draft and auto drafts wins the league because the computer is smarter than us.
Every time.
So annoying. It's ridiculous because we all go through and we think we've got good picks, and then the computer is like, nope, you're just going to pick based on what you don't have yet.
It never fails. It's happened every single year I've ever played fantasy football. There's somebody that just doesn't put the work in and ends up doing better.
Exactly. They just check their roster once a week and put in the dude with the most points.
Yeah.
There's no preparation, no research. You're not cooking in the lab. It's ridiculous. Well, that's all I got this week, Sus. You got anything else? NBA bubble. We gotta talk about the bubble for a second.
The bubble? The little bubble?
Yeah, the bubble. Tonight we have, what is it, Game 5 with the Lakers and the Rockets. The Lakers are going to win this.
They played last night, I think.
Did they play last night? Then what game's tonight? I'm ridiculous. You'd think I'd actually know stuff. Oh, yeah, yesterday was the Lakers. They won Game 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tonight is the Celtics and the Raptors, Game 7.
That's a freaking game. Let's talk about that one.
Did you watch Game 6 and double OT?
Yeah. Well, I know what went down. That was insane. This Raptors team is just they're vets, man. They are.
Yes.
They're not going to go down without a fight. You're going to earn it against them.
And they don't got a lot of star power, which is weird in today's NBA. They got a lot of dudes who are good, Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Pascal Siakam. I don't think either of those guys are absolute stars. We got a Drake clone running around there at 2-guard too at Fred VanVleet. But the Celtics could have won. That last play on the inbounds was maybe the worst inbounds play I've ever seen drawn.
Are you a little worried about your Eastern Conference pick?
I am. I've been worried, to be honest, since Gordon Hayward went down. Because I was banking on Gordon Hayward being in there and be a great third option to Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker, and now that third option has fell to Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. It's kind of like whoever's hot that night. And I think they can take it in this Game 7. We need a good game from the guys I mentioned. Marcus Smart, he needs to not shoot himself out of the game because he's that guy. If he makes one shot, he's going to take 5.
Yeah, he doesn't need to shoot more than about 5 for the whole night.
Yeah. I mean, if he's hot, I'll take it. But him taking that last shot in Game 6, didn't like it. Double covered. There were 5 seconds left. He can pass it to Kemba. Kemba can take a quick shot. I like that shot a lot better.
Y'all need him to clamp, not to shoot.
He needs to go out there and get those two little guards and just put them in a hole. Kyle Lowry, though, I don't know what else I can say for that man than just he's playing his heart out. I think he played 50 minutes in Game 6.
It's impressive. That's really what I respect about this Raptors team is they are not the most talented team in the league, but they're the defending champions, and they are going to make you take it from them. They're not going to give it away to anybody.
And dudes are hitting shots that they don't normally hit, like OJ Anunoby, that game winner. I'm going to leave him open too. I think I said it last week.
Yeah.
But that's the bubble. I still have the Lakers and the Celtics making it to the finals. I think the Lakers are going to beat the Clippers when they see them in the Eastern Conference Final.
That's where it's heading. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to doubt it. And it's good that they're both in form right now, playing very well. I think that series is going to be everything that we thought it was going to be.
100%. Now, the real question is the Heat are hot. Do you think the Clippers and the Raptors can beat the Heat if they go in there and Jimmy Butler?
The what? Could the Heat beat who?
Could the Heat beat either the Celtics or the Raptors?
Oh, I like them more against the Raptors. I think it's a little bit better matchup for them.
I do too.
Yes, I think they could. I don't know if they have quite enough to where I would take them. So I'm going to say I think the Heat lose in 6 in the conference finals, but they definitely can because I love their depth. They have so many options. They have so many guys that can score. That's why they're dangerous.
Yeah. Like Tyler Hero went off for a bunch of buckets.
Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Jimmy Butler can create his own offense. Dragic can run the show. Bam Adebayo gives you a lot on both ends of the floor. Tyler Hero, like you just mentioned, Kelly Olynyk, like a lot of guys that are legitimate options to score. And so I think that's why the Heat can compete and make it a series with anybody. But I think the Raptors and the Celtics have more.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Well, that does it for us here with the What's the Snaps podcast. Again, I am Mike Fink.
I am Michael Sussman here talking a little sports. Can't wait for this weekend.
Yep. Enjoy.